I'm thinking that it was on account of my damage output that I just didn't have the capability to be able to break stance, to break posture. Even with jump attacks, no matter what I did. Like, I can understand whips not being able to break posture all that well, but, like, I was using dual katanas. I was trying to break posture with double greatswords, but the thing that I noticed in between dual-wielding double greatswords and katana, respectively, is that my damage output for both of those was low, because katanas scale primarily with dex, and greatswords scale primarily with strength, right? So analytically, if I'm looking at game structure, if Elden Ring intended you to build very heavily into 3 different stats, and I invested very heavily into 10 different stats, or I invested average into 10 different stats, I'm not going to have the concentration that's going to pull my success at being able to beat bosses, right? And keep in mind, I was able to basically wreck every other boss besides Elden Beast, right? Like, I don't know if you were there for my Rykard fight, Grand, but I was fighting Praetor Rykard in his serpent form, and I was using the Scar Seal, which makes you receive more damage. It basically makes you receive, like, 1.5 times the damage that you normally take, right? And Rykard kept grabbing me, and grabbing me, and grabbing me, and at first I was like, this grab fucking sucks, dude. This is poorly programmed bullshit. And then I adapted to it. I actually started paying attention, and adjusting my roll, and adjusting my muscle memory, and rolling later. And I was like, oh, this grab doesn't suck, I'm trash. I had the inability, I wasn't capable of dodging this move before. And even though I was using the Scar Seal, I was still able to nearly beat Rykard multiple times. That feels rewarding, right? But like, Elden Beast is just a shittily designed, fucking poorly scaled fight, and it doesn't make sense. At least it felt like it didn't make sense, but you know what? That might just be me. That might just be ignorance on my part. I'm willingly open to be receptive to understanding that it may be my distribution and allocation of stats across the board that gimped me so hard. You know what I mean? Don't think it is, to be honest. I used twin swords and daggers. Damage wasn't too awful, but I never broke anyone. But stagger-heavy weapons break very easily. Think there's a stagger value that certain moves do compared to others? That could also very well be true. I'm not well influenced in the game. Like, I'm not knowledgeable enough to understand exactly how the game is structured. Especially for structural supporting core component and mechanics. But, like, basically it's the equivalent of, oh, I just hit the boss literally 80 fucking times, and instead of getting key broken, it's basically just able to sit there and hyper armor me constantly. Like, it's kind of stupid, right? But, like, that isn't to say that I think Elden Ring is a bad game, and you know what? Maybe I was a little bit too harsh on it. We aren't knowledgeable because dickhead FromSoft made the posture meter invisible? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's one of the ways that this game could have been improved. I think, honestly, if this game took a few things from Nioh, it would better the formula. But it's not like they're going to listen to that. Because I think it's part of the preordained difficulty factor that you just aren't aware of certain things. You're not made aware of certain components that the game is structurally based on that will benefit you because they want that air of uncertainty or lack of confidence, and they want to prey on that and use it as a vice to make the game seem more difficult than it actually is. Yeah, they want that kind of chaotic randomness, exactly. Like, they want the immersive value of you being up against a boss and getting your ass kicked. And I get that. Like, I understand. There's a certain level of desire for that. Understandably so. But I feel like it's a preordained kind of empty difficulty, and it doesn't need to be there, and it only exists to subvert the structure, and it's not really all that good. They're selling you a spectacle and an experience. Yeah, more so than a combat game. But that's always been FromSoft's specialty. Team Ninja excelled. Like, as soon as I played Nioh 2 for the first time, and I'm a little bit less on the market with Nioh 1 in this regard, and I've gone into that at length, that Nioh 1, to me, has far less fluidity than Nioh 2 does. Nioh 2 feels infinitely more polished, it feels infinitely faster paced, and it feels more cohesive, and it feels more structured than Nioh 1 does, which feels like more of a critical disjointedness to me. But FromSoft has always excelled in presentation above all else. Musically, dynamically, artistically. Like, for example, Team Ninja sucks ass at storytelling. Nioh 2's story was miles better than Nioh 1 in my opinion, but Nioh 2 still wasn't anything super special, right? But like, FromSoft has built a narratively driven creative world. Like, deep with backsteps of lore and all sorts of crazy fucking relations of items, enemy placements, bosses, like all sorts of fucking people that oppose you, oppositional NPCs that come and fucking tell you certain things and give you cryptic hints and relations to other characters. There's an entire narrative world out there to be explored. Whereas Team Ninja is just like, hey, you remember this enemy? We made it purple now and we gave it a different weapon, but it's infinitely harder than the base game one that you came across. Or, hey, welcome to New Game Plus, where we took this enemy and we put it in a different place and incorporated enemies from the DLCs, right? Team Ninja story and immersion and aesthetic and art design all dead on arrival? Yeah, entirely. I think artistically, like, there were some bosses that were really cool. Like, there were some bosses that actually stood out to me. Like, Kasha, artistically, I thought was a great boss concept. Otakemaru, I thought was a great boss concept. Shibata Katsui. Like, some of my favorite fights in the game. Except for Kasha summoning Gaki. You can get the fuck out of here with Kasha summoning Gaki. Fuck that. You know what, like, that makes me... Like, just recalling the fact that Kasha is capable of summoning Gaki. Makes me hunger for some fucking vodka. Because what the fuck is that, Team Ninja? Why make the fucking cute, sexy cat bitch summon Gaki? Why do that? No, I did not delete my old character, Riku. My old character's on the back burner. But the thing is, now that I have two characters that I'm going to be making, you guys have the option of wanting me to go into the DLC with this character, which is going to be completely, entirely, naturally leveled, or my character that can use everything. So it's up to you guys, because I know either way I'm going to be replaying the DLC. But the first time that I play it, I'm going to be playing it through absolutely entirely blind. So you guys get to sit there and dictate my experience. Do you want me to play through the DLC with the character that's capable of using everything? Or do you want me to use a well-rounded character that's going to be level 150, 160, 170 and go into the DLC and only be able to use a select assortment of weapons that are built for the class that I chose to pursue? So it's basically going to fall on you guys for what you want to see. To me, honestly, I feel like there's more intrigue and there's more investment, and I'll get more out of the DLC if I can use my character that can use everything, rather than a character that's limited to 70% of the board of available weapons and spells and everything. Because, like, this character, like, I've plotted out what I'm going to do with this character. I'm going to make this character 45 vigor. This character is going to be, like, 45 vigor. It's going to have, like, 25 mind. It's probably going to have about 20-25 in endurance that I'm going to make up for so I can get light roll with the arsenal charm. The strength is probably going to be relatively low. The dexterity is probably going to be pretty high. It's probably going to be at about 40, maybe 45. And the intelligence, I'm just going to absolutely leave alone because I'm not going to fuck with any of the spells or anything like that. And then Faith. What's up, Seven? Long time no see, man. I'm sorry I haven't been in to chat with you guys recently. Faith is probably going to be at maybe like 20 or so I can use spells and shit like that, because I want to be able to use buffs. Like Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength and everything is going to basically go in accordance with the build that I'm going to be making, so I want to have access to those spells. But I don't need to really invest in any more Faith other than that. I did get around to messing around with Plosudasax's Laser Breath, and the Laser Breath was fucking absurd. The Laser Breath was fucking sick. It was awesome. I loved using Plosudasax's Laser Breath, but, like, in making a character that had all across the board investment, I feel like I gimped myself on my damage output. Because, honestly, when I was fighting Plosudasax, which I think you also missed, Grand, Plosudasax felt like it wasn't taking any damage, similar to Elden Beast. So I had to put in 3 times the labor to be able to beat the boss than it would have taken the average player that just made a build that was around 150, dedicated to, like, 2 or 3 different unique stats, right? So, like, it felt like I was actually gimped. So even though I had a character that was capable of using everything, I didn't have the damage output for the experience to feel super average compared to the average normal player experience, right? And I'm kind of curious to experiment with that with this character and just see, like, if I was truly overpowered, as they say, or, you know, if I was actually, like, uber gimped. Because I can almost guarantee you I'm going to have an infinitely easier time with Elden Beast on this character as opposed to my other character that had no damage with the weapons that I was using. I looked at my cock ring kill. I definitely did decent damage, but not way off from yours as a pure dex build. However, Black Knife T-Shape did pet the heavy lifting, like, holy shit. Yeah, Black Knife was really, really good on that fight, and I was actually noticing that too when I was coming over the VOD myself, is that, honestly, Black Knife Tish was more mobile and more aggressive and better at dodging Elden Beast than my Mimic Tier is. Like, it seems like, I don't know if this is the case or not, like, I don't know if this is factually true in accordance to patch notes, but it feels like they may have nerfed the Mimic Tier due to public outlash and outcry of, you know, stigma that Mimic Tier is too powerful, and they probably nerfed the AI to it, so it's either not as aggressive, or it does less, or it's, like, not as mobile, or, like, they must have made some sort of adjustment to it. Because, like, Mimic Tier, from what I understand, when I played the game the first time, I remember using Mimic Tier, and Mimic Tier was actually, I'm not even gonna hold you, quite busted. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Mimic Tier was actually kind of fucking absurd. The only time I really had to rely on Mimic Tier throughout the entirety of the game was on Melania. And again, that's because Melania is a shit fight. She's close to being good, but she's not quite the finesse boss that I would have liked. Okay, let's try some jump R2s with the club instead of R1s. Amazing. I thought I just rolled off it like, I'm not even gonna hold you, I had a mini heart attack. Like, I just had a sudden palpitation in my fucking chest. Like, I just thought I got fucking shocked back to life. Holy shit, dude. I felt my heart actually physically skip in my chest right there. Come on, you fucking bastards. Seriously? See, this is the gay shit about Elden Ring that I fucking hate. They need to do this kind of shit to make the game hard. And it's fucking annoying. Like, just let me fight one of these bros at a time and I'd be able to mop them like they're fucking nothing. But no, they have to sit here and group 4 or 5 enemies together with shields. It's just like, why do they do this shit? Like, this shit is so absent of difficulty, it's ridiculous. I think it's offensively shittier, but it's still an absolute tank and soaker. Mimic Tier? Yeah. I was gonna say, I can't remember how accurate this thing is. I'm a little bit worried about that. I was gonna say, I also hope he's not capable of blasting Ballast A to the side, because if he is, I'm gonna be fucked. Okay, so I don't have any fucking runes. I can't really level, and I can't go to the round table yet. I can't remember how to get to the round table, honestly. I thought you had to reach a certain level or something, but I don't know what the requirement is for it to pop up, but I don't have it yet. That being said, I do have 21 health, but I'm gonna wait until I get to maybe like 30 vigor. I know I want to be around level 25, but I'm gonna invest pretty much entirely in health, and then we're just gonna fight Margit with base weapon damage, probably, and summons. Unless I can get to the round table and level up my weapon. So, like, even though this is one little fucking hollow dude, it's still impossible to fight this dude and this guy at the same time. With Elden Ring's combat mechanics. It's just kind of annoying. And I feel like FromSoft relies on that far too much to simulate difficulty. Because it's not that the game is actually hard, it's they just need to game bang you with like 5 enemies at a time. And beyond that, they just program enemies with ludicrously stupid fucking combat capability. Like the Whirlwind Knights that literally stagger you and hit you 4 times in a row without you being able to input. Like, that shit's just not hard to me. Like, it's basically empty challenge. That's pretty much my fault. Like, I understand that. That's totally fine. Because, like, these guys have no posture because they're beginning enemies. But, like, do you think you can stagger late-game knights by just doing this repeatedly into them? No, you can't. Like, you just can't do that. The game doesn't work like that. Understandably so, because the knights later on in the game, they demand higher finesse, right? Because, like, they expect you to be well familiarized with the game's mechanics at that point, so of course they're going to ramp up the difficulty. But do they do it organically? Fuck no, they don't. They give them really ridiculous AoEs and fucking astronomically dumb hitboxes and shit like that. Okay, I need to figure out how to get to the fucking round table. Spiff Tech didn't use summons in this fight, so I heard. 7, dude. Yes, Margit is beatable without using summons. It's not a matter of using summons. If you're level 50 or 60, yeah, you're gonna be able to mop Margit like it's fucking nothing. Like, it doesn't equate. Like, I don't think you people bring into consideration circumstance in terms of balancing. Like, if you're level 50 and you use summons, you're gonna absolutely mop the shit out of the boss like it's a fucking joke. If you're level 50 and you don't use summons, you still have a pretty good shot at beating it because you're equipped enough to be able to fight it. They expect you to be within this certain level range, this threshold. You're supposed to have a weapon level of at least this to be able to stand a fair shot at the boss. If you go into the boss under-equipped, yeah, you're gonna get mobbed. Like, for example, if you go into the boss, even if you use Mimic Ashes or whatever, like, you can have Mimic tier at this point in the game, but if your weapon isn't leveled, you're not gonna be beating Margit. It's not likely. Unless you spend several hours finessing the fight and learn how to avoid literally every single move and know exactly what the boss is going to do before it does it. But like the average player fighting Margit, you should be around level 30. I fought Margit at about level 16, 15, and he was really hard. But I was able to beat Margit with the use of Ashes, and I even got close without the Ashes a couple times. But you're not supposed to fight Margit right away, just like the Tree Sentinel. A lot of people walk out and see the Tree Sentinel and immediately try to fucking clown on him, and they get fucking mopped. And they're like, this game is obscenely hard. It's not obscenely hard, you just didn't adequately prepare yourself. It's an open world game. You're supposed to explore, you're supposed to go out and find seeds to be able to bolster your flasks, you're supposed to find sites of grace, you're supposed to level up your weapons a little bit, you're supposed to unlock access to the round table so you can reinforce your weapons. Like, they expect this shit to happen by the average, by player, experience. Like, player by player. And a lot of people don't approach the game like that. If you played as well as you explained, you'd be the best. Please shut your gay ass up. Goddamn, you just suck dick at every game. Clive and Wrench proved that, a kid's game. Dude, Clive and Wrench is not a good game. I'm sorry, it's not polished. I was really hoping better from it, but it's not a good game. It's just not a good game. Understandably, it was made by an indie team, so I don't expect fucking AAA quality out of it, obviously. But you do have a point. But that's the thing, though, is I'm good at game analysis and I'm good at dissection. And you people aren't. Like, no offense, but you just see the game as a blanket. I see the game as a fucking incredible freaking black hole that I deep dive and deconstruct and analyze and I nitpick. And I understand. At least try to. And, like, you people don't see it that way. You play an RPG and just look at health value and damage value and boss, and that's it. I actually look at the game and deconstruct it for what it is. And I will call it out on its shortcomings. I'm not going to just blanket accept the game as a good game when it's fucking bad in certain fields. The game does have certain fallbacks, it has certain shortcomings, it's not a fucking masterpiece. It's a good game, yes. I agree, it's a very good game. For what they accomplished in it is fucking amazing. But if they made another open world game similar to this, I would expect them to make a few adjustments and a few changes. But for what it is, it's a very good game. It's a very first embarkment on an open world formula style Souls game. I think the game was mad successful, and it deserves the success that it got. That isn't to say that it's without blemishes. It has its kinks, it has its dents. Just because I complain and point out said flaws and said dents doesn't mean that I hate the game. It doesn't mean that I'm inadequate. It doesn't mean that I'm fucking subpar. Your criticism is from a place of lacking, not actual criticism? What the fuck does that even mean, Seven? Like, deconstruct that and tell me exactly what the fuck you mean by that, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's literally an oxymoron. Like, what you literally just fucking spewed to me is an oxymoron. It's a paradoxical statement. It makes no sense. I've deconstructed the components of the game at length and explained where they do and don't make sense. Like, okay, if you want to say, oh, you're dog shit at the game, cool, I'm inclined to agree with you. I'm not as good at this game as I would like. I panic roll a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that I get hit by very stupidly because I'm being greedy. There's room for learning. There's room for improvement. I understand that. I'm not saying the game is at fault all the time, but this game does do some really wacky shit. But to be fair, all FromSoft games do that. There's not a single person in this world that has played Bloodborne and not getting stuck on a coffin or a tombstone and gotten killed by a boss before. Like, there's no person that walks this earth that hasn't happened to. Right? No, I'm saying I'm ass. But I'm saying if you want to say I'm ass, that's fucking fine. Like, that's fine. But I'm saying even with gimped damage, like gimped as fuck damage, if I was able to second try a hard late game boss, then I must not be as dogshit as people seem to think. I haven't played the game in 2 years, and I mopped the majority of it. And people are going to be like, oh, that's because you were over-leveled. It's like, okay, we'll go back in the playthrough toward the beginning where I was literally mopping like everything. Like Renala, I beat him 1 try. Radon killed me once. Like all the other bosses I fought, I practically killed in 1 try. Like Rykard was a little bit hard because I was using the fucking stupid Scar Seal and that made him hit way harder. You know what I mean? Like Rykard was fucking 5 times harder than he should have been. Like right there, that shoulder bash, I can't roll that shoulder bash. That is bad game programming. That is not good. That is not fair. Like, I can't expect that he's going to do the shoulder bash, right? Like, I can't expect that. I can't predict that he's going to do that. That's just ridiculous. Like, I can't predict that he's going to go into the shield bash and have hyper armor and just be able to back-to-back hit me. That's kind of stupid, and it makes no sense. Like, I was able to roll right there, but before I wasn't able to roll, period. I couldn't fucking respond to it before. That's what I mean. Like, this game makes no sense. Structurally, it's just kind of flawed. There's certain things about it that are kind of bad. And you don't understand them from, you know, viewing the game. You understand them from experiencing and, like, holding the controller. You know, because holding the controller, you know what your capabilities are. Like, you know when and when you can't respond to shit, and when you can't. This game has a little bit too much of that for my liking. I do not like being placed circumstantially in conditions where I'm not in control of the outcome. I don't like being chained hit and not being able to respond to things, and this game has far too much of that. And I don't know if they designed it to be really punishing overtly, so like if you don't dodge the very first part of the chain of combo, that you just get hit by the whole thing. And that's what they were going about it like. But like, it doesn't make sense. Like, for example, if something hits me once, I should be able to recover and respond and roll out of it. Or at least attempt to. Like, if something hits me and I panic roll because I'm trying to get away from the enemy and they've accounted for that, then that's fine, because I'm panic rolling. I get caught because I'm being antsy and because I'm trying to escape and get away to safety. That's fine. They expect the player to do that. If they've constructed the game to punish you for that, that's good game construction. That's not poor. You're saying it's poor because you want to bitch about your own lack of capability and your own lack of skill and falling short of expectation. And that's not fair to put on the game, right? The game is well programmed, you just fucking suck. So it's like when people sit here and say, oh, you just fucking bitch all the time. It's like, I do bitch quite a bit, but I try and do so constructively to the point where it actually has substance and makes sense. Where it can be dissected and retained and basically mentally explored, like neurologically, by accompanying party. I don't just sit there and say, game fucking bad, dude. This game fucking sucks. FromSoft never fucking learns, dude. My camera's in the fucking wall. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? It's like, that just happens sometimes. It's shitty when it does, sure. It would be nice if they fixed it, but they did it in Sekiro. Because Sekiro's a rhythm response game. Like, when you're fighting the asshole at the bottom of the well, his combo isn't anything ridiculous. If you've seen his combo 3 times, you know exactly what he's going to do. If you're good at rhythm, you can fucking fight the guy without eyesight by sound alone. Why are you gonna bitch about the camera? Which they were kind enough to actually let you see through the wall that you're right next to. No other FromSoft game does that. Sekiro is actually the fucking babiest game in FromSoft's catalog. From a design standpoint, it's actually the most fair. It gives you the most control, and it gives you the most power. Out of every FromSoft game out there, Sekiro is by far the most forgiving. You get a revive when you fucking die. They give you tools that literally allow you to fucking cheese bosses to a certain degree. They give you a backstab component where you can shed a life bar off the entire boss fight. Like, dude, Sekiro is ridiculously, ludicrously simple compared to every other FromSoft game. The only time Sekiro really becomes difficult is on the memory bosses. Like, on the inner bosses, Sekiro becomes very, very, very demanding because all their moves hit very hard, and they have a lot of that crazy black flame shit. And the other thing that makes Sekiro really hard is the Demon Bell. Like, anybody who's playing with Demon Bell, especially for a first playthrough, fucking kudos, hats off to you, that's impressive shit. Like, you have every right to wave your elephant cock around, because you deserve it, homie. Like, fuck, I hope they make I hope they make a condom in your size, so you can come over and bang my girlfriend while I'm at work. Like, that's impressive shit. Good on you. Like, that's commendable. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's actually good game design. And that's actually impressive, the people that actually managed to do that, because I know I can't do it. I sure as fuck can't do that. I gotta figure out what the fuck I'm doing, man.